Coming up on 7:30, Idaho is moving into phase 3 of their reopening plan.
It's just sad to me that we can't function like we used to.
Now, we spoke with one Washington restaurant about how the change will affect their business.
We've received mixed responses when it comes to crossing state lines to get your coronavirus vaccine. Next, we break down what you need to know.
And Senate Democrats are trying to fast-track Biden's proposal without Republican support.
If we did a package that small, we'd be mired in the COVID crisis for years.
Life is a series of choices, and they've chosen.
We'll tell you what to expect from the next round of stimulus checks.
And we're taking a look outside. A beautiful start to the day. A little low-hanging cloud cover down there in the valley. But boy, do we have a wonderful day in store.
Up with KREM begins now.
7:31 now. Welcome back to Up with KREM. Well, this morning, the Washington National Guard is ready to administer COVID-19 vaccines yet again at the Spokane Arena. Guard members are stationed right now at all 4 mass vaccination sites. And so far, members have helped administer 10,000 vaccines.
Yeah, this morning we're going to help keep you up to date with everything you need to know about the vaccine situation in Washington and in Idaho. That's coming up. But first, we got to check in with meteorologist Jeremy Legoo in the Weather Center. Good morning, Jeremy. How is our Wednesday sort of shaping up today?
Well, it's shaping up to be cool as we kick things off. But later on this afternoon, expect an afternoon similar to what we saw yesterday afternoon, minus some of those showers and throw in a little more sunshine. Not all that bad if you're asking me. But right now, temps down in the 20s means you might want to grab that coat as you head out the door this morning. I know yesterday was significantly warmer than where we currently sit. We're looking at temps right in the upper 20s for many of us, 32 degrees in Sandpoint this morning. And here we go. A couple of those showers kind of popping up on the radar. Most of those staying south of Spokane. And I think for the most part they will as they creep a little closer. Might see a couple of sprinkles here in town, but that's really going to be about it. Most of that does stay to our southern portions of Spokane County. Likely get in on the moisture tomorrow. It's a little more widespread, and we could even see a couple of snowflakes here in town, maybe even a couple raindrops. Really depends on timing there. I'll walk you through that coming up in the full forecast, but for now, know this. Temps go from the upper 20s to the low 40s later on today, and that comes with a mix of clouds and sun.
We'll see you back here in a few minutes for that full forecast, Jeremy. It is coming up on 7:33 right now. This morning, we've got the latest team coverage on vaccine information that you need to know. Tim Pham will join us in just a few minutes to explain the rules for people crossing state lines to get a vaccine.
And this morning, Dana Marie McNichol is also covering the latest information here in Washington. Hi, Dana Marie.
Hi, Jen. There's a lot to talk about this morning, especially because Chaz Health says it successfully received its new shipment of the Moderna vaccine. They now have an additional 4,000 doses. So Chaz Health has told us supply determines how many people can sign up to get the vaccine. We're still waiting to hear what this means for the next round of vaccine appointments. Right now, all appointments at the Spokane Arena are full through Sunday. The earliest available appointments will be for Tuesday, as they're not administering vaccines Monday. Over 4,000 vaccines have already been administered at the site. Now we're taking to social media, where Governor Jay Inslee shared this promising information on Twitter last night. You can see this tweet behind me. It reads, "We've passed 700,000 total vaccine doses administered in Washington." So the governor says while this is an incredible achievement, they're still working to rapidly expand the state's distribution program. He also adds that these efforts are starting to pay off. We've administered 70% of our current vaccine allocation, and we've also been steadily rising in the rankings compared to other states across the country. He also said in this tweet, "We should be proud of the hard work that got us here, but we still have a very long road ahead." So keeping an eye on what Governor Inslee is saying on social media this morning. But Joshua, you've got some information for us.
Yeah, across state lines, Governor Brad Little has announced the state will be moving into phase 3 of their reopening plan.
That's right. So the biggest change will be seen in gathering sizes. So now gatherings up to 50 people are allowed.
Now, large events like trade shows, weddings, and sporting events, however, might be able to have more than 50 people in attendance.
It really just depends whether organizers follow the Idaho State Board of Education's COVID-19 safety guidelines.
So Idaho has struggled also to keep up with the demand for the vaccine, especially as the state on Monday expanded eligibility to Idahoans over the age of 65. The state is currently receiving only about 25,000 doses of the vaccine per week, which means it'll take several months to get people over age 65 vaccinated.
And this is not the stat that Idaho probably wants to hear this morning, but Idaho is one of just 2 states to vaccinate less than 6% of its population. As of yesterday, about 103,000 people received at least 1 dose, and just under 23,000 people have received both doses.
Now, restaurants in Idaho can now have up to 50 people in an indoor setting.
Meanwhile, in Washington, restaurants still must operate with open-air dining, and owners must keep capacity at 25%.
And with Idaho being right next door to us, they've opened. And of course, like I said before, people would rather go sit down and enjoy themselves than to get to-go food or takeaway food.
Now, here in the east region of Washington, the earliest date that eastern counties can be considered to move into phase 2 is next Friday, February 12th. All right, let's check in with Tim for the latest on vaccine updates. Tim?
Yeah, that's right, Joshua. You know, we've received a lot of mixed messages when it comes to Idahoans going to Washington to receive the vaccine and vice versa. So we created a timeline of our investigation into what's been going on over the last several weeks. So let's get right to it. So what we know right now is the Washington Department of Health told us on January 13th that vaccinations don't require proof of residency. They noted if people who work in Washington, they would get their vaccine in Washington even if they lived in another state. Now, the next day, the Washington DOH clarified that people who get the vaccines in both states need to be sure they get the same type of vaccine since states don't always share records. Other than that, they say there was no issue getting 2 doses at different facilities. On that same day, we did receive this voicemail, though, from the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare.
I do have the answer to your question here. Basically, people do not have to prove residency to receive a vaccine, so one could get the 2 doses in different states as long as they're the same vaccine.
The mass vaccination site opened up in Spokane on January 27th. KREM reporters spoke with a man from Idaho who said he got the vaccine at the arena. Now, that same night, the Washington Department of Health released a statement repeating that people must live or work in Washington to get the vaccine here. Now, Chaz Health says they're relying on an honor system and no proof of residency. We're still waiting on a reply from the Washington DOH to see if this also applies to providers like Providence or Multicare. And coming up, we first showed you these adorable prairie dogs on Tuesday, and this morning we're talking to the family that owns them and asking them about their predictions that actually contradict Punxsutawney Phil.
And President Joe Biden's relief bill moved forward in the Senate with just 1 vote breaking the tie. I have the latest on that next stimulus bill coming up.
And we're taking you outside, talking about a mild afternoon before our next round of showers returns to the inland northwest. And that can mean snow for you.
And it is Black History Month. All month we are highlighting Black leaders across the inland northwest. And this morning we're highlighting Carl Maxey. As a child, he lived in Spokane's children's home, but when the board decided it would no longer care for Black children, he was moved to the Spokane County Juvenile Detention Center. Years later, he graduated from Gonzaga University, and in 1951, he became the first Black man to pass the bar exam here in Eastern Washington. He later became a civil rights icon, winning cases by defending Black people who were refused service in Spokane. Now his legacy lives on at the Carl Maxey Center. It's a local nonprofit committed to changing lives and improving the well-being of Spokane's Black community.